Hey guys, welcome back to the Speaker's Edge podcast, the podcast designed to help you learn from some of the world's very best speakers so that you can master your message and inspire your audience every single time you speak. I'm your host for this podcast, Roddy Galbraith, and I'm thrilled that you're chosen to be here with us today. Today's a bit of a practical episode, really, because we're talking about, do you memorize your presentation or not? Do you have to memorize it? Can you use notes? If you are going to memorize it, how do you do that? Now, let me say right at the beginning, I don't necessarily recommend that you do think of memorizing your speech, at least in the way that people typically think of memorizing. But if you do want to internalize your speech, is really going beyond memorizing, then we're going to look at 20 different ways that you can do that. A 20-step process, very practical, 20-step process to help you internalize your message so that you can be bulletproof in front of your audience every time you speak, every time you stand up to speak. Now, before we get to that, don't forget to download the companion resources for the show. You can go to maxwellleadership.com/the Speaker's Edge. And we would love it if you download the episodes, if you subscribe to the show, if you rate the show, and best of all, if you leave a review. That would be wonderful. Thanks very much in advance for doing that. All right, so do I need to memorize my speech then? When I say memorize, when we're talking about memorize, I think people often think of like scripting out the perfect script and spending ages tinkering with the editing, ages and ages and ages working on the perfect script. And if people do typically any kind of preparation, that's what they think of as preparation, crafting the perfect script on paper or on word processor. And it doesn't really help you. It doesn't really work, because unless you're going to email that to somebody, all you end up with is a perfect script that you can't remember. So then there's a process of scripting followed by memorizing and then reciting. So when we think of memorizing, it tends to be like a 3-step process, doesn't it? Script out the perfect script, then memorize it, then you can recite it to your audience. It's very fragile indeed, because if you forget just one word, you want to say, oh, I've ruined it, I need to start again. Do you mind if I go back to the beginning? And obviously, you can't do that when you're in front of an audience. So memorizing like that is very fragile. I don't really recommend memorizing. I think coming up with bullets and speaking from the bullets is much more resilient, leads to a much more robust delivery, but we'll come back to that in a moment. If you do want to memorize, and you memorize the speeches I'm talking about, think of it as being the beginning of the process, not the end. So rather than scripting it all out, memorizing it so that you can recite it and then that's it. You know, as long as I don't forget anything, I'm done. You've got to work on the delivery as well. The delivery is a bigger part of the message, really. So even if you do memorize, spend all that time crafting that speech and all that time memorizing it, then you still need to work on the delivery. So in terms of efficiency, it is a little more uncomfortable, but it's much more efficient to get to your first draft as quickly as possible. And bullet points is the quickest way to do that, so that you can start practicing out loud before you think you're ready. It's a little awkward at first, but you get clearer on what you're trying to say, you get clearer on the message, you get better at delivering it, and you work out lots of different ways of sharing your message, and then you pick your favorite. So that's how you end up being bulletproof in the delivery. A question that pops up all the time, is it okay to use notes? If I don't want to memorize it, can I use notes? And the answer to that, of course, is yes, you can. John uses notes all the time. He's often got his iPad in front of him and he's looking at his iPad or his phone. It's fine to use notes, but you don't want it to be like your dirty little secret where you're like glancing, trying to make it look like you're not using notes when actually you are. That makes it worse. I think if you're going to have notes, practice with notes, just own it and look very comfortable with your notes. We'll come back to using notes because it's a whole topic in itself. We'll come back to that in a later episode. For now, let's talk about memorizing. Do we need to memorize? Well, I think it looks pretty good if you do know what you're saying without referring to notes. It looks like you're an expert. It's more convincing, I think. People are more easily impressed by that, and they're like, oh yeah, she really seems to know her subject. But internalizing goes beyond memorizing, and I think that's a better way to think about it. Now, some people say, yeah, but I can't memorize my speech. I can't memorize my speech. And let's just think about that for a second. Is that true? Really? You can't memorize your speech? You can't learn the words? Have you ever learned the words to a song without even really trying? Of course you have. And it's repetition really is the key to that, isn't it? If you hear a song over and over again, you begin to recognize the words, you tune into the words, you tune into the tune, and then you can repeat it. So you've heard it without even really trying, and something's happened so that you know the words to that song. A great convincer of this is where you learn the words to a song that you don't even like. You don't even like the song, but you know the words to it. So obviously you've never tried to remember it, but just through repetition, it's gone in. It was effortless. You didn't even try, and effortlessly you've learned the words. So our minds, our brains are very clever like this. And this is not just something you could do before you were 6, during those formative years. Oh yes, I used to be able to learn things through repetition, but not anymore. I'm too old for that now. That's not true. You still can do it. You still can learn from repetition, of course. Every so often I test this as an example. To kind of convince myself of my ability to learn through repetition. My most recent one is I love Nespresso coffee. Julio, a client, bought me an espresso machine a couple of years ago, and the Nespresso coffee is so good. I ended up buying, I think we've got 4 of them now, those machines. Really, really good. And it's really tasty. And I drink about 4 of those a day instead of going to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts at the office. They're great. So I have a way of making my coffee, and I have a little bit of milk, and then I don't like washing up, so I use disposable cups, and then out comes the coffee into the cup. To try and mix it with the milk though, I swirl it. So as it's coming out, I swirl it. It gets rid of some of the bigger bubbles. It makes it creamier and smoother and mixes up the milk with the coffee, which is, the way I like it. So while I was doing this one day, I thought, I wonder if I can do it with the other hand. I wonder if I can swirl with my left hand. Now, initially, while I tried this, it was really uncomfortable, very uncomfortable indeed, and it would spill, and I couldn't get it going. You know how when you're swirling, you get into a rhythm where there's feedback from the feel of the wave going round, and you can do it without going over the edges. Well, I didn't have that at first with my left hand. It took a little while to do it. And then I realized that I could only do it this way. So I thought, what would it take to be able to do it going backwards, which would be anti-clockwise with your left hand? And that was really difficult. In fact, it was so difficult, I was sure that I wouldn't be able to do it. And not only was it like my hand that I was trying to move, my whole body, the only way I could do it was my whole body was moving when it was going around. So I thought, if I actually manage to master this will be a great and very convincing example for me that it's just through repetition that I'm able to do it. Well, about a month later, from doing this, maybe once or twice a day when I remember, I can't do it as well with my left hand going anti-clockwise as I can going clockwise. Clockwise feels much more natural with my left hand, and I can't do it with my left hand anywhere near as well as I can do it with my right hand, but I can reliably swirl anti-clockwise with my left hand now, and it's starting to feel a little bit more normal, and I can do it without all of the muscles down my leg on the left hand side seem to be tensing as well initially while I was doing it. So I'm a little more independent of that. So just by going through the motions, we internalize information. I'm learning Spanish from Audible, another example. I did the first 2 courses, and then I downloaded a 3rd course, which was conversational Spanish. And they said the goal of this is for you to be able to understand Spanish when it's spoken at a normal speed by native Spanish speakers. And so I was excited to listen to the first dialogue example that they gave us. I listened to it, and I'm convinced there wasn't one word of Spanish in that, in that dialogue. There was nothing in there. That it was so fast, and it was so alien to me after probably about 4 months of listening to Spanish at this point. There was nothing in there that I recognized, not one word. So I've been listening to it now for another couple of months, and I've been thinking about it and listening to it, and gradually my mind is tuning into Spanish spoken at that natural native Spanish speaker speed. And I'm gradually tuning in. My brain is being able to identify the Spanish in there. And there is some Spanish in there. In fact, it's all Spanish. It just didn't seem like it at first. So repetition helps you here. As long as you don't insist on doing it perfectly every time so that you get distraught and you don't want to do it anymore, just by going through the process of experimentation, you'll get better and better and better at it. Now, the other thing that helps with internalizing information, making an impression on our subconscious, if you like, repetition is great. Repetition is the mother of skill, but also emotion. Emotion has a very powerful effect, doesn't it? With emotion, we only need one repetition, and it can be fixed in our mind. we can grab all of that sensory information linked to that emotional experience. It's very similar to imprinting in a duck. I'm sure you've seen this. If you haven't, Google it. It's hysterical. Where a duck comes out of the egg, and the first thing it sees is mum from that point on. And so there's dogs that have become mum, there's humans that have become mum. In fact, this whole, what do you call a collection of ducks? A gaggle of geese. What would a collection of ducks be? I don't know. I should have researched it, I suppose. I didn't know I was going here, to be honest. But there's this hysterical video I saw where a whole collection of geese, whatever the collective noun is for, ducks, they were all chasing the mum, who's the farmer in Wellies, who's like seemed to be getting frustrated with them. They would follow him everywhere, all of them like running after him in a little flock. Must Google that, of ducks going after him. Let me know if you know what the collective noun is for ducks. So very interesting to see imprinting in a duck. It's one kind of repetition. It opens its eyes, it comes out, and that is mum. That is mum. Now with emotion, we have a similar kind of imprinting effect, don't we? Impression, because it's more likely to be important information if it's received in a heightened state of awareness. Where were you when the planes hit the Twin Towers? I can picture that very clearly. I can go back to that moment. I'm sure many of you can as well. John talks about, you know where you were when JFK was shot, as before my time. But some of you probably have other experiences. Now, if you think about this, I saw a YouTube video the other day on Florida's poisonous snakes. I didn't realize quite how many poisonous snakes there were. Now, imagine that you're peering under the rocks because you're the curious type, and you lift up a rock and there's a rattlesnake under there. That is probably information that you want to retain, whatever the environment is where rattlesnakes are likely to be hiding. That's a life or death situation, isn't it? So you want to get out of there and you want to avoid that in future. So that terror that I imagine you would feel if you came face to face with a rattlesnake hovering there, looking at you, rattling its tail, looking menacing, you're going to want to retain as much of that as possible. You don't want to have to rely on repetition. You don't want to do it 20 times before you learn to keep away from rattlesnakes. You want to keep away from them right away. So repetition is very, very powerful for internalizing information, and also emotion. So emotion is a powerful anchor, if you like, or an indexer. Like I said, the things that we experience in heightened emotional states are more likely to be important to us, either because we want to avoid them or because we want to repeat them. So emotion is very powerful. Maybe there's some time every now and again you're walking along and you smell that, what's that cologne or what's that perfume? And it's somebody maybe you had a crush on. So a heightened emotional experience from years ago, and all the memories come flooding back to you just when you smell that cologne or that perfume, whatever it is. Or it might be shampoo or any smell that is linked to an emotional state for you. It's very, very powerful. So we want to engage both of these, but mainly it's going to be repetition. Repetition is going to help you more than anything else. And the more you engage with the material in different ways, so engage with your message, the quicker you're going to internalize it. And then it will feel like it's a part of you. And without even thinking, it will just come out of you. And then it seems like it's you just making it up as you go along, but you're drawing on information that you've internalized. When you watch John Maxwell do a Minute with Maxwell, and if you haven't seen him do a Minute with Maxwell, it's something to behold. It really is, because he doesn't get the words in advance. He's given the words and then he immediately goes into 1 to 2 minutes talking about this particular topic, the word that he's been given. And it's incredible to see because he's very, very good at it. But he appears to be making it up as he goes along. But a lot of the things that he's drawing upon, it's almost like do you remember the jukeboxes back in the day where they had all the records or CDs, or now it's all digital, isn't it? But all of these songs stored away, and you can just pick one and up it comes and it plays. It's like a jukebox of content that John's got stored away, and then he can pick a particular thing and he can amend it on the fly. And these little sound bites or stories or examples that over 50 or 60 years he's internalized that are a part of him, and they can come out when need be. So the process of internalization can be very, very useful. It goes beyond memorizing. Of course, sometimes you're not going to have time for this. Sometimes you're going to be speaking on a new topic, so you might need to use notes or slides or have some kind of aide-memoire. But very often, and particularly if you're a professional speaker, you're going to be talking on the same topic. You're going to get asked the same questions. And so your answers will keep getting better and better, and you'll have these kind of blocks or modules or sound bites that become a part of you that you can then draw on whenever you need. Now, before we look at the 20 different ways that you can internalize your message, you've heard me talk about the Maxwell Leadership Certified Team many times. If you're a regular listener to this show, the Maxwell Leadership Certified Team, if you want to be a speaker, a trainer, a coach, if you're interested in developing your leadership, if you want to develop your career, you want to get a pay rise, you want to get promotion, you want to change jobs, whatever it is, the Maxwell Leadership Certified Team may be your next best step. I've been involved with the Maxwell Leadership Certified Team since 2010, since just before it started, and I've been working with John Maxwell on the Maxwell method of speaking for years now, years. There's about 60,000 coaches who are part of the Maxwell Leadership Certified Team in about 168 countries, I think it is so far. The program is vast. The best thing you can do is use the link that you see on the screen here or in the show notes. Jump on a call with a program advisor and let them ask you some questions. You ask them some questions and you can see if it's a fit. There's a lot to the program, so I'll leave it to them to explain the program in its entirety. I can say if you're interested in developing your speaking, it really is a no-brainer. There's nowhere better to go to model John, to learn the Maxwell method of speaking, than becoming a Maxwell Leadership Certified Team member. There's no obligation, so I highly recommend that you find out. maxwellleadership.com/speak, or follow the link on the screen or in the show notes to find out more information from a program advisor. All right, so let's look now then at this 20-step process for you to internalize your information. And as I said, any or all of these will really help you for that message to become a part of you. It goes beyond memorizing, So the first thing is, think about your topic, think about your message. The more you think about it, the more likely you are to remember it. So thinking about it can work very well. Think around it. Think on paper maybe, think on a whiteboard, however you think about it. Think about your message, think about the different bits, researching it, gathering it, piecing it together. All of that is going to help you remember it. Write your message out. You may like to do a free flow of consciousness where you just kind of think it out and type it out as you go, or maybe you write with a pen, or maybe you audio record it. Up to you. Whatever you do to get your message down, give birth to it so you then can make it better. So writing it out, scripting it out can work well. You may want to just do bullet points if you prefer that, or you may just want to say it. Whatever works for you, but get it out, give birth to it one way or another. If you do script it out, then maybe narrate it. So script it out and then read it out loud. You might want to record that. So think of it, script it, narrate it out loud, record it, and then listen to it. The act of scripting it out, the act of narrating it is different to just thinking about it. The act of recording it and then listening to it back is different from just delivering it. These are all different ways for you to engage with the material. And the more you engage with the material, the more you're going to internalize it, the more it will be a part of you. So number 1, think about it. Number 2, write it out. Number 3, narrate it. Number 4, record it. Number 5, listen to it back. Number 6, as you listen to it, maybe it's different. If you haven't worked from a script, you've added different bits in, transcribe it or use a service to transcribe it. For years, it wasn't easy to get it transcribed, and so I always used to listen to things, stop it, and type it out myself. It was a great way. It's very labor-intensive, but it was a great way to internalize the message. I've done that for countless pieces of material from lots and lots of different speakers, and you really get to know them well by transcribing their work. It takes about 10 times as long as just listening to it to listen, stop, type it out. Listen, stop, type it out. But you really internalize it by going through that process. So transcribe it. When you've transcribed it, print it out. Now listen to it and follow the lines of what you've written out. That will really help as well. It's a different way of engaging with the material. As you listen to it, have a pen and annotate the script that you've printed out. Then go through those annotations and create a next draft from your thoughts as you listen to it back. You want to get to your first draft as quickly as possible and then get to the next draft and repeat, repeat, repeat. If you've got a script, if you go through the process of turning that script into bullet points, you're processing the information as you do that. Remember at school, they used to say, don't just copy it out of the textbook, put it in your own words. Put it in your own words. Why did they say that? Because the act of putting it in your own words means you need to process the information. And as you process the information, it helps internalize it. It's a great way, actually. Putting it in your own words is a great way to internalize it. Teachers weren't as stupid as we thought, were they? No disrespect to speakers, of course. You're heroes. So putting it into long bullets initially is going to help. It's going to be easier to put it into long bullets than shorter bullets. But next step would be to shorten those bullets. Have fewer bullets and have them shorter. And ultimately, you might want to just get down to 7 words that really show you, help you remember your message. So think, write, narrate, record, listen, transcribe, annotate, get to your next draft, create long bullets, and then number 10, create short bullets. Then maybe you want to video yourself as you begin to feel more comfortable. I know people don't like videoing themselves. They don't like seeing themselves on video because they don't think it looks like them. They don't like hearing their own voice because they don't think it sounds like them. Whenever people say to me, yeah, I don't like seeing myself on video. Yeah, I hate the sound of my own voice. To me, it says you haven't done anywhere near enough of it. Because I used to be like that. Everyone's like that at first. It is odd when you first see yourself on video. It's very odd when you hear your voice. You're like, really? Do I sound like that? Yeah, to everyone else you do. You hiding from it, you not listening to it, doesn't change how you actually sound. So get used to it. The more you do it, you'll get used to it. Then there won't be any difference then. It will look like you. It will sound like you. And it's a fantastic way for you to work on your skill of communicating. In fact, video is a great way to work on so many different aspects. Tiger Woods talks about the advent of video in golfing, what a difference it makes. You can really study yourself. I went to Necker Island, which Richard Branson lives in 2016, and every morning I'd get up and have tennis lessons with his tennis coach who lives on the island as well. And he had this machine, and we would do the different. He would hit the balls at me, and I'd practice the shot, whatever it was, forehand, top spin, whatever. And then he'd say, okay, let's have a look at them. And the court had 4 cameras in each corner at the top of the court. And then we could go through and watch them back. So he could click on a button and it would show us all the shots that I missed. And we'd watch them and he'd say, look, you see your racket's too close to the body there. Then he could hit another button. It would show me all the shots that I got in. And he'd say, look, it's further away from you there. You're getting too close to the ball. It was amazing. But it was so simple to be able to watch it back and learn. Oh, I see. You can study yourself like a third party when you do this. Every one of us can do this. And it's so useful with speaking. It really is. So number 11, video yourself. Number 12, watch it back and do it a lot until it feels comfortable. Number 13, practice. That could be in front of your video recorder. It could just be while you're walking the dogs. It could be on the treadmill. It could be just you visualizing it, or it could be out loud. Out loud is best. In fact, practice like it's the real thing. So if you're going to be speaking out loud, then practice like it's the real thing. So practice out loud. If you're going to be speaking on Zoom, practice like it's the real thing. Practice on Zoom. Set up a test Zoom session. If you're going to be doing a Facebook Live, set up a test Facebook Live session. Just do it to a group where there's you and maybe one other person. No one else can see it, and run through it as if it was the real thing. Practice out loud like it's the real thing before you think you're ready. It's a great way to get good at everything all at the same time. Number 14, maybe you want to put a test audience together. Ask your friends, ask for their feedback. Tell them that you really value their opinion and you'd love to share something that you're working on that's important. You want some feedback from them. They'll probably be thrilled to help you. They'll probably have a lot to say when they watch you. You say thank you, and then you can consider what you want to change. So test audiences are great. Ask for that feedback, number 15, because it makes you think about your message. As you're thinking about what they're saying, you're processing your message at the same time. It helps you, it brings emphasis to those different parts, helps you remember it. Number 16, PowerPoints is huge. If you do your own PowerPoints, you're processing the information in your message and you're turning it into the visual representation that accompanies you delivering it, which is your PowerPoint slides, or your keynote slides, or whatever else you might use. This helps you internalize your message. If you don't like PowerPoints, and it's a good idea, I create PowerPoints even if I'm not going to use them for exactly this reason. It helps me get clear on the flow, and it helps me internalize the message by creating the PowerPoints themselves. But if you don't like PowerPoints, maybe a mind map just on paper. Tony Bazan coined the phrase mind map, didn't he, years ago? In fact, he lived just a few miles from our house in England. He died a few years back, didn't he? But he lived just around the corner, really, from where our house is in England. What's the next one? Number 18, flowchart. If you don't like PowerPoints and you don't like mind maps, maybe a flowchart where you've got the flow of the information, some of the ideas. Again, you have to process the information to turn it into a different format, and it's the processing that helps you internalize the message. Another great way to make this easy is build up your content in building blocks. So rather than having a script that's 5,000 words, have 10 or 12 different sections, different building blocks. A building block could be a story, a building block could be a teaching piece, it could be an exercise, anything, whatever works for you. But if you create the building blocks, you tend to know the building blocks. I mean, if it's your story, you know your story, you know the point of why you're using the story. It's easy for you to remember that. Maybe you just need one word then to remember that whole chunk. So creating building blocks in the first place makes this whole process so much easier. And then number 20, one of my favorites, if you can create a diagram for your information. So I love whiteboard diagrams. If you can create a diagram and you're drawing the diagram while you're sharing the message, the two work together, and that helps you internalize the information all the more quickly. The bottom line is, the more you engage with the material in any or all of these different ways, the more you're going to internalize the message. It will be a part of you like nursery rhymes that you've known your whole life if you do this. And it doesn't matter that you're whatever age you are. I'm 56. If I can still do this, I'm 56, then you can too. This is not something that we just did during our formative years. We're doing it all the time. We can very intentionally use that process. So one more time then, 20 steps. Number 1, think about your message. Think about it over and over in different ways. Number 2, write it out in whatever way suits you. Number 3, narrate it. Number 4, record it. Number 5, listen to it. Number 6, transcribe the whole message, including your ad-libbing and anything else that you've added. Transcribe it. Print it out. Number 7, listen to it and then annotate the printout. So that number 8, you can create your next draft. Then turn that next draft, number 9, into long bullets. The act of creating the bullets helps you internalize your message. Number 10, turn your long bullets into fewer, shorter bullets. Number 11, video yourself now. Number 12, watch it back. Number 13, practice in every different way that you can. Practice out loud like it's the real thing. Before you think you're ready. Before you think you're ready. Number 14, ask for some of your friends or colleagues to get together a test audience. Number 15, get some feedback from them. Process the feedback. Number 16, maybe you want to create PowerPoints. Number 17, maybe mind maps are more your thing. Number 18, maybe flowcharts is what you're going to do this time. Number 19, use building blocks to assemble your content, and all of this becomes easier. Number 20, maybe you want to put together a diagram of your message, or diagrams. That will help you internalize your message as well. So there you go. This is a process of internalizing your message that works for everyone every time. The more you engage with the material, then the more quickly you're going to internalize your message. If you struggle to remember your talk, it's uncomfortable, but struggling to remember your talk is the best way to internalize your message really, really quickly. Try and stand up and deliver. Keep going. Don't allow yourself the easy out of saying, oh, I forgot what's coming next. I'm going to go back to my notes. Keep going. When you get to the end, then go back and check. Struggle to remember. Check what you missed. Oh, I wonder why I missed that. And then repeat. Do it again. Do it again. The best way to get clear on what you're trying to say is try and say it. It's also the best way to internalize it. So we've got lots of different options, Do the work in training, discover which of those options works best for you so that you can be bulletproof in front of the audience every time you speak. So that's it for this week. As I said, don't forget to download our companion guide. Go to maxwellleadership.com/The Speaker's Edge. Communication really is a terrific skill for you to learn and develop. It is a learnable skill, so keep learning, and you'll learn to master your message and inspire your audience every single time you talk. Thanks for listening today. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Take care. Lots of love. Bye-bye. God bless.